Dave Nassani's here. Mark Dunning's here. Good to see you, gentlemen. Glad you're here. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Hey, welcome to the Michael D Show. I'm glad you're here. You're watching the Michael D Show. It's about faith, business, family, and culture, where we have exciting guests from around the world, streaming globally on your Facebook, your YouTube, your Twitter, and everywhere else you can watch this show. And we have authors in 64 nations. Last week, we had 15 nations represented. Israel is under attack, and so we say our prayers for Israel today and for the peace of Israel, for the protection of Israel. On October 7th, Hamas came in and brutally murdered 1,400 Jews, Israelis, Americans, and many other dozens of other nations that were killed at this peaceful music festival. And so we're glad you're here today. We're going to hear from some guests that were there. We're going to hear from a journalist in Israel, in Tel Aviv, who just sent me a video. She was summoned to the underground bunker like she's been for 25 times in the last 17 days. But we're glad you're here. And I'm going to start with a little preview of 1040 Impact and what we're doing to touch kids around the world. Go ahead and tweet out that you're on, that you're watching, share the link, and people can watch and share your interview. We're glad you're here. Mark Dunning, good to see you there, my friend, in Oklahoma. You're in Blanchard, Oklahoma. You were actually in Israel when the war started. What city were you in, and walk us through that moment? What was that like?
So we were visiting in Jerusalem, and we were in Jerusalem, and early that morning, we went to the old part of the city. And we were actually going on top of the Mount of Olives, and we barely got out of our vehicle, and you could hear the sirens going off. Of course, I wasn't for sure exactly what was going on, other than I understood the sirens, but I didn't understand the magnitude of what was happening in Israel at the time. And so at the top of the Mount of Olives, we turned and looked, and we seen rockets coming. And the tremendous, amazing technology of the Iron Dome intercept. Yeah, it was amazing, and not something that I wanted to see in person, but I was really, really thankful that they had that technology in place. It intercepted every rocket. Of course, we loaded up and went back to where we were staying, and most of us went into a bunker. Now, me being from Oklahoma, I didn't go. I had to sit out and watch it. I've never been in a shelter. Oklahoma, during tornado season, we just sit and watch
we go out and watch the fireworks, right? We're not afraid of tornadoes. We're not afraid. I can remember sleeping in my tennis shoes and a motorcycle helmet, a few years ago in Oklahoma, because I'm like, you know what? If this tornado takes me, at least I'm going to land in the field, and at least I'm going to have my shoes and my helmet on. But at what point did you realize, hey, they're brutally killing Israelis and peaceful people here? At what point did you realize? Did you ever sense any fear? What was it like? How long were you in that bunker? And then what was it like the rest of the day?
Yeah, so we were in that bunker for just a little while. I say we, like I said, I never went down, but the rest of our group went in, and they were in there, I don't know, maybe 20, 30 minutes. And then they come out, and me and my wife, she was with me. We went into the lobby of where we were staying, and of course they had the news on. And I asked them, what was going on, and they began to tell me, and I couldn't believe my eyes. I couldn't believe my ears. And the place we were staying, they treated us like kings and took care of us for the rest of the day until, we finally got a briefing that afternoon of what was going on. And of course, that night, me and my wife, we didn't sleep. We didn't know, what to expect. We didn't know what was going to happen where we were. And so we didn't sleep much that night at all until the next day. And then we got briefed again, and we're just filled in completely with what was going on. And it was hard to wrap our heads around the truth and what was really happening in Israel.
Did you have any idea at that moment, 24 hours into the conflict, that how many people had been killed?
We were told, we had a group leader that had inside contacts, and we were told at that time, I think there was around 700 to 1,000 that they knew were killed. And when he began to tell us who they were, how young they were, and that they were all civilians, it made me sick to my stomach. I can't wrap my head around anyone that would be able to do that. And so I just couldn't imagine it.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. In fact, I'm going to show you a video I just got from the journalist. I was first in Israel in 2019 for the Jerusalem Book Show. I flew into Tel Aviv on Israel's 70th birthday. Was my 52nd birthday, I want to say. So I flew into Israel, and I was in the Sheraton Hotel in Tel Aviv. I bumped into Benny Hinn in the lobby. I wish I would have gotten a picture with him. He was tired. He had been flying all night, and I just came off 2 all-night flights from the Bogota, Colombia Book Show through New York, overnight again to Israel on my birthday. Sat on the beach of Tel Aviv, talked to many of the Russian tourists that were there. Many people don't realize it's only a 4-hour flight from Moscow, Russia, in the cold of winter to the beautiful beach of Tel Aviv on the Mediterranean. Such a modern day miracle. Israelis have more patents per capita than any other people in the world.
Right.
9 million Jewish people around the world. And I'm just shocked and amazed that there's this pro-Palestinian. It appears the media is making it appear like there's this love for Palestine and hatred for Israel. And I got to believe a lot of that's media manipulated, and a lot of the young people in our universities that are being manipulated with that propaganda. But I want to show you we're going to be hearing in a moment if she can get out of her bunker. I was chatting when I went in 2019. She's a part of the Knesset. She worked for the Ariel Sharon administration in the marketing and social media and global marketing of Israel to the world. And I was on the Zoom with her this morning, or on the WhatsApp this morning. And here they are. They're going to the underground bunker where her and her son have been called to 20 times in the last 17 days. Looks like a prison cell, right? A jail cell. Look at that.
Wow.
But I show you that to show you her and her son and everybody in all of Israel is sleeping in their shoes, sleeping in their clothes, 2-3 o'clock in the morning, getting up in the middle of the night, multiple times in the night. They're at war. And not only is Israel at war, but when they suffer, we suffer. We're at war, and it's a propaganda war. It's a war over life and death. And I say this not to alarm anyone, but to alarm everyone. and say, if they are Satan, America is the great Satan. So it's time for us to wake up, read our history, read our prophecy, and realize what's going on, and to prepare accordingly, and realize that our fight is not a natural fight. So Mark, I want to bring you back up. So you're in Jerusalem, the sirens go off, you don't realize what's going on, but at some point you realize you're at war. When were you scheduled to fly out? Were you scheduled to fly out on October 7th?
No, we were scheduled to fly out a week later. And which was crazy. I had people from home, of course, calling. All the American flights had canceled, but luckily the guy that we went with, which was Randy Caldwell Ministries, he had foresight enough to book through El Al Airlines, which is an Israeli airline. They didn't cancel anything. They were actually adding flights to help people get out, which we're so thankful for. But even at the airport, when we were leaving, thousands upon thousands, I've never seen so many people in the lobby of an airport in my life, wanting to get out. Some of them were at ticket counters trying to get tickets. Some of them were just getting out. And of course, the security was unlike anything I've ever seen. But they worked really hard to get us all out, and they couple-hour delay, but they got us out and got us home safely, and we're so thankful for the Israelis for doing that for us.
They are very hospitable people, aren't they?
Very, yes.
I loved my time there. One thing that really impressed upon me was I was staying at the King David Hotel in Jerusalem, the old city, right near the book show, and the daytime security girl was like 22 years old, and she's got 2 or 3 pistols in her belt. She is armed. She's got that belt, and I don't know what all she had in that belt, but it was armed. And I spoke to her for a little bit. She was fluent in English. And the Israeli Defense Forces, all of the young people, men and women, are required when they graduate high school at 18 to be enlisted in the IDF for 2 years. So it's really, people always ask when I travel all around the world and I go to Israel, are you afraid? Are you worried? Are you concerned? And I say the safest place to be is in the middle of God's will. That's the safest place to be. And we had a friend there from the States who had 53 people on a tour. They were scheduled to fly out October 7th, and they didn't get out till October 14th. So they waited a full another week. Could you feel the stress there with the locals, or was it with the locals that in Jerusalem, they're so used to hearing the sirens go off? I know it was early in this stage of the war. What was kind of the feedback and consensus from your host?
Yeah, most of the places, even the store owners, they actually closed up shop for several days. So we ended up going towards Masada and spending a few days just because a lot of the things in Jerusalem were closed. But before we left, a lot of them opened back up, and we went down and went into the market and went to some of the stores, met some of the artists that wanted to meet us. And over and over and over, we heard, "Thank you for staying a few days. You are like a light in a dark place." They were just so thankful that we as Americans didn't just run at the first sight of trouble, that we did stay. And before we left, we did make it a point to go see them, and we bought things from them, and so they were so overwhelmed and thankful that we stayed in the middle of that and come down to see them too before we left.
Tourism is probably the number 2 right there with agriculture and technology on Israel's GDP income, right? So tourism is a big thing. And I would imagine in the old city of Jerusalem right now that the shops are only partially open, if at all. Have you stayed in touch with the news there? Do you know what's going on in the old city of Jerusalem?
I have not. I'm supposed to be on a call today with Randy, and I will find out more. But from what I understood, a lot of them were still closed, and they are struggling. Of course, that's where they make their living, like you said, and so they are struggling with that. And so especially now, there's a lot of cancellations, a lot of tour groups that have canceled. And so I'm sure that they are really having a hard time.
I talk to my Israeli friends daily through WhatsApp, and most of them are entrepreneurs and they're self-employed, and they are struggling because if you're a carpenter, if you're a plumber, if you're a roofer or a contractor in that regard, and you work in the trades, everything is shut down. The kids can't go to school. They're trying to do Zoom from home, but when you've had 25 alarms go off, and our guest here today in a little bit, Osnat from the Knesset, who I met in 2019, worked for Ariel Sharon as his marketing person, and is currently working in marketing for the Knesset still. And she works from home, but they're pretty terrified, the entire country. They sleep in their shoes. They sleep in their clothes. Their pets are on edge, and they can go to market. You know, it's kind of like the market during pandemic. I asked those kind of questions, but most restaurants and shops are closed, and then the market's only open for a few hours a day. So you can imagine if the Iron Dome does not hold up, I mean, they're gonna lose major. They're going to have some major challenges. So the biggest concern now, there's a lot of Americans getting out. Are you aware of any Americans that are still trying to get out, that are having trouble getting a flight out?
The last I heard, there was a few, but most of them, I believe they have worked to get them out. But I have heard that there is still a few of them that are still there. Some of them, I don't know that they want to get out. They feel like that they've got a duty there, a calling there, and so I don't know that they're trying real hard to get out. But the ones that do want out, they have worked really hard to get them out, and just so thankful for that.
Well, I'm glad you're safe, and Mark, I appreciate you for checking in with us, and we want to hear back from you. How do people follow you? What's your social media, your website? What's the best way for people to keep up with your updates?
The best way is through our Facebook. You can follow Hillside Church or Mark Dunning Ministries. I have a Facebook there, and I usually do an update every morning of some kind.
Oh, cool.
And so
hey, will you pop that in the chat for us? Put it in the private chat, but also in the comments, so it'll light up the social feed. We want to be able to follow you, and and hopefully you can stick around with us. We got some faith authors here today. We've got a communication author. She's a communication expert, Julianne Ryan from Queens, New York. And we're going to be hearing from her. We're going to be hearing from Secrets from the Hammock. This is Dr. Wisdom himself. Dave Nassani's with us, and he's a successful entrepreneur. And Patty Grace is here. Patty Grace from Lexington, Kentucky. She's got a new faith book, and she's making the rounds in the social media circuit. She's speaking about her new book, Inspiration and Encouragement. So thanks, Patty Grace, for being with us. Thank you all for being with us. And put your links into the chat. You got the private chat, but if you put it in the comments, there on the upper right where it says comments, it'll populate this channel. This is the Michael D Show, where we talk faith, family, culture, and business. We've got some of our friends from Israel that are checking in with us today, from Tel Aviv and from Jerusalem. And right now, it's amazing because they get some up-to-date, pretty current info on their Telegram, on their WhatsApp, and what it looks like. I'll just show you. So this is a live feed on their television, right? So they're watching the news. The news is on 24/7. And when these oranges turn red, they go for cover. They go for the shelter. And so the orange threat, it's kind of like a terror threat here in the U.S. It's orange. When it goes red, that's when you don't travel, you don't go to the store, you're on alert, basically. And so they have a similar situation, and they're in our prayers for sure. So we thank you for checking in, Mark. Dave, I want to go to you. I first met you. You were launching this book. We were able to help you get this book out to the world. Dave Nassani, you're in California, and this book, Secrets from the Hammock, Uncommon Wisdom for Uncommon Times. Dave Nassani, you and your wife got an amazing story together. You're her advocate. You've been married how many years? Give us your story, sir. Good to have you. The Michael D Show.
Hey, Michael. We've been together for 49 years, and we got married a year later. So I would say we have 48 and a half years of marriage under our belts. And she,
Outstanding.
you know, she's a little older than me. I was just a child at the time, but when we married, I was 21, she was 31. And it was a fairy tale, storybook, romance, courtship, and marriage. We were in love, and everyone said I was crazy, but I weighed the pros and the cons, and the cons were heavier than the pros, but I was in love, and I felt like God was saying, this is your soulmate, don't mess it up. So we instantly got married in 10 days. At that point, we were together a year and 3 months, and we just had a wonderful life together. And we entered into the emptiness phase of life, where we had freedom and money and time. And around that time, she was complaining to me about this headache she had about 3 days. She called it the headache of her life. And unfortunately, on the fourth day, that headache ceased being a headache, turned into a stroke. By the time the ambulance came, it was too late. The one I loved had suffered a massive stroke, and our life just turned upside down, and nothing would ever be the same again. She couldn't talk, she couldn't walk, and she started changing and was angry and bitter at the only one who was around, which was me. And it was a tough grief period, about 2.5 years. It was a living hell. And I finally couldn't stand it anymore. I had to sit down and write her a letter, because that's what I do when I'm frustrated. And I said, Charlene, why are you so mean to me? It's so hard being your husband, taking care of you 24/7, not expecting, not receiving any love or appreciation in return. I just don't think I can be with you anymore. I know it's hard on you, but it's hard on me being your caregiver and your husband. And I said, I just can't be with you. So I was going to give her this letter, and I read it to myself, and I says, oh my gosh, how can I give this to the woman I love, to my soulmate, to the mother of my children? I couldn't do it. I just filed it away and went on in my loneliness and my bitterness. And eventually I found this business card in my pocket. Probably someone gave it to me when I was in the hospital with her, inviting me to a caregiver support group. I didn't even know what a caregiver was, but I went. I figured somebody thought I needed it. And that's when everything changed. I learned I had to put my mask on first. I had to learn that, like the airlines tell you, take care of you first so you can take care of her. And that's what I did. I started taking care of me so I could take care of her. And so she started coming around, started responding, and eventually became her old self again. Our love was rekindled. And that's when I became Dave, the caregiver's caregiver. And now I host a popular syndicated radio show, #1 on FeedSpot, the Caregiver Dave Show. I published my 4th book with you, the 4th one, Secrets from the Hammock, Uncommon Wisdom for Uncommon Times.
There it is. You got one in front of you? Hold it up.
I
Dave.
don't have one in front of me, but
media
you're holding one up.
moment here. We've got some other authors. We got some other new authors on the show here. And my goodness, I just luckily had one of these on the desk. And so Wisdom from the Hammock, you've got to have it as an appendage of your face, like your ear connected to your face during that conversation.
I can get one in 4 seconds if you allow me to.
No, keep your seat. I've got
All
you
right.
covered. I'm looking out for you. I know these ladies on here, they've got their books and they're ready. So Dave, I'll give you this. You're on the left coast, so it's a little earlier out there. And so we'll give you that. I'm playing with you, brother. But so talk to me about this. You've been together 50 plus years now, and I've met you and your wife. You're just amazing. And so this idea, and I think a lot of men deal with this impatience, this frustration, this anger, and we don't know how to properly process it. Did it come with age, or how was your faith a part of that? How did you get beyond that? Because some men wouldn't have stuck around, and you stuck around, and that's very admirable.
Well, yes, and I can't take much credit. God blessed me with a temperament where I could, be a caregiver. I mean, it wasn't easy. I didn't sign up for this. It wasn't on my resume. I was drafted into caregiving, and if I had my druthers, I wouldn't do it. And many men have filed divorce for their wives while they were still in the hospital, be it cancer or whatever the disease was. But,
with their wives while they
we
were
had a
still in
very
the hospital, you know.
Yeah, we had a very strong faith in God. We were Christians. That's why we got married, because we became Christians during the Jesus movement. You know, we were a couple of Jesus freaks in the 70s.
Did you have
And
long hair back then? Did you
I
grow
did.
it long?
I did. I was a hippie, and she was a flower child, you know, and you know, all those girls were burning their bras back then. But
Wow, we're going to have you and her on for the fuller, longer version. You know who I met when I was in DC recently? I ran into Greg Laurie. Have you seen his new movie Jesus Revolution? About
yes,
that time?
yes. And I went to I owned a gas station for 44 years, and I took 4 of my employees to go see that movie, because that's the greatest way to witness to somebody, is just take them to that movie so they can understand where all this Jesus stuff came from, you know. And they enjoyed it.
Well, you know what? After the movie, Greg and his church family baptized 4,000 people in the Pacific Ocean, which I guess was a big deal because that was featured on the cover of Time magazine, in 1979. And so they went back to the very spot in Del Mar, California. And it looks like we're having in the middle of this world war, in the middle of rioting on college campuses, it looks like we're having a Jesus revolution. How do you explain that?
Well, you know what? God periodically has these revivals. That's what they're called. Happened at the turn of the century. That caused the beginning of the Church of God in Christ. The black church was birthed, you know, and then the Assemblies of God needed their own version, so they started their white version of that. And there have been revivals periodically. The 70s was a strong revival. You know, the hippies were into love and peace and drugs and all that stuff. And they were just ripe to receive Jesus, you know, because Greg Laurie and Chuck Smith, you know, the movie was great because a lot of these brand new Christians, these stinky, barefoot, long-haired hippies that a lot of people didn't like, and many of them were their own kids.
Exactly.
And he opened his church up. You know, it was just a tiny little
played
church.
Played by Fraser. What's that actor's name that plays Fraser?
Brendan. Whatever.
yeah. But you know, I haven't seen the movie. I've gotten busy.
You haven't seen the movie?
No, I'm going to have to go see it. You know, I've watched the trailer, and sometimes I see the trailer and I'm like, oh, I've seen the movie. I saw the trailer, but it's not the same.
Come on, Mike.
So give me a wisdom nugget from the hammock. Give me a wisdom nugget from Caregiver Dave. What are you doing now? I know you're hosting a retreat in Acapulco. You and I have been to this retreat spot in Acapulco. Who is it for? What are they going to receive? What are you offering?
You know, my experience tells me that everybody, no exceptions, is going to eventually either become a caregiver or need a caregiver.
Yeah.
There's no escaping it. And so now is the time to learn how to become a caregiver, not after tragedy strikes like me, and all of a sudden you're thrust into this and you don't know what you're doing. You're scratching your head and you know, you're thinking about, I don't know what I'm going to do. So I say, join a support group. Go to caregiverdave.com. Join my 34,000 Facebook caregivers on Caregiver Dave on Facebook. And I am hosting a retreat. It's a vacation retreat in Acapulco. Just go to caregiverdave.com. There's a link there. You can click it and you'll find out all about it. You know, wisdom. I've got to tell you that when I first read the Bible, when my mother gave me a Bible when I was 18 or 19 years old, I said, okay, well, I'm a college student. I'm going to read it like a textbook from the beginning to the end. And I learned about King Solomon, the richest man that ever lived, you know, a hotel that you stayed at by his namesake. And this man was the son of King David. So King Solomon is what I said. And so he was going to ask God. God was so pleased at all that he was doing that he says, tell me what you want. You know, it's like Aladdin's lamp. I will give you whatever you want. And he says, well, I really only want wisdom to guide my people. And God says, wow, most people would ask for riches, kill your enemies, this and that. Well, I'm going to give you that wisdom, but I'm going to also do the other things as well. And so when I read that, I says, I want wisdom too, because I've always been a wise guy when I was young. I don't mean a wise guy, I mean a wise guy. People would come to me and when I was in high school, hey man, how can I get this girl? And it was all clear to me. I'd say, well, just do this and this and this, and you get them. And if they listen to me, they got the girl. And if they didn't, they didn't. And so I loved hammocks. I loved rocking chairs, just, rocking motion. And I found that the wisdom came faster when I was on my hammock, and I could solve my problems, the world's problems, my friends' problems. And so I did these 5 minutes of Dave's hammock wisdom videos, and people were getting wise, and people were solving their problems.
Sorry to cut you off there. I was trying to queue up a video. So wisdom from the hammock. There it is. I'm actually holding it in my hand. It's a real book.
It's actually Secrets from the Hammock, Uncommon Wisdom for Uncommon Times. Oh,
there you go. Secrets. Secrets is a good word. And you did something amazing. You based it on secrets. And so on a video series. So you did this video series that becomes a book. So how did you do that? Did you just transcribe it or what?
I did. I had like 100 different videos of 5 minutes of wisdom, 2 minutes of wisdom, 1 minute of wisdom, just so when caregivers are frustrated and going crazy, they can lock themselves in the bathroom, read it, and they've got enough wisdom to get through. And so, but not everybody was on the internet. Not everybody is on YouTube. So I had to put it on paper. So I did. I transcribed the 31 most popular ones, because I figure it's like the book of Proverbs. It's 31 Proverbs, one for each day of the month. And so that's what I did. You can read it in one setting, or you just read it as a devotional. And there's 5 different areas. There's physical wisdom, there's mental wisdom, emotional wisdom, financial wisdom, and spiritual wisdom. The 5 areas that people need to be successful in order to have a happy and healthy life. And for example, there's wisdom. Well, I'd have to get my book. I'm a little perplexed right now because I'm on your show and my mind.
Well, hey, I'm glad you're here. There's the website, caregiverdave.com. Stick around with us. We've got some amazing stories. We're going to feature some of the other authors here who've got books that are in process that they're launching. And how are you, Dave, leveraging holiday, Christmas, Hanukkah time, New Year's time to get more word out about your book?
I'm very blessed. God has blessed me with a wonderful business. It's breaking all records. I'm doing great. My relationship with my wife has never been better. I am just happy and glad that I have the favor of God. I've been to Israel about 15 years ago. It was an amazing place. Love to go again. I'm 69 years old. I'm going to be 70 in 3 months. I can't believe it, because yesterday I was 21. And so, sometimes I have trouble remembering things and remembering names and remembering movies and this and that. So I've got to leave myself a lot of notes. But praise God that he is blessing me and he's given me favor. And I'm just so grateful that you have a show like this. We can share the gospel. We can talk about. I could not do anything that I've been doing without Jesus Christ. He's my Lord and Savior. And he brought us together, and he kept us together. And, I got to throw a shout out to Clint Arthur, too, because he helped me get my message out a lot. And you definitely helped me get my message out a lot. You did a great job publishing my book. And I'm so grateful for all of the people that God has brought into my life.
Hey, we're glad you're here, and we're going to get to our other featured authors. So stick around. It's going to be a great day on the Michael D Show, where we feature faith, family, culture, and business. Check it out. Speaking of New York City.
Changing lives in New York and NASDAQ and beyond. Michael D. Butler, global book publisher. We're ending human trafficking at 1040impact.org.
I don't celebrate birthdays.
All right. I don't celebrate birthdays. So we're glad you're here. And speaking of New York, she's from Queens. She's in the house today. And let me find her banner. I just did one right there. Did I spell it correct, Julianne?
I think you did. That is brilliant. Good work. I'm very proud of you.
Thank you. You know, I'm really proud of you because you've been speaking everywhere. You recently had an event there. I think it was in Queens. I met up with you, I think, on the Upper East Side. I'm directionally challenged, but
yes, we've been teaching you where things are in New York City. So I've been speaking on the West Side, New York, on Long Island. So it's been a lot of fun, and then virtually everywhere. You called me a communication expert before, but I prefer to say communication catalyst because I get people to listen and talk to each other. And Michael, I have a question for you.
okay.
Have you ever wished that you had a magic pill or potion that would help you fix a conversation or relation, whether it's at home or at work?
Every day.
Oh, right. And, you know, the more I listen and talk to everybody, I think you and I have that in common. So if there was only something that we could do to take us from stuck to listening and communicating. So I realized a few weeks ago that I had the antidote that you've been seeking, but instead of chemicals, I use humor. And in my Learn It in Queens playbook, I show something that has been medically proven to provoke laughter, a humor and laughter, which is known by many to disrupt how we think, relate, and communicate with each other. So I've been studying humans for decades, whether it's at home, whether it was on the New York subways, or in anywhere I've worked. I've been married for decades, like our other colleague there, and it's taught me a lot. And I just don't leave you with a lot of words talking at you. I give you, like a good coach and a performance coach, a fun workbook that you can have some fun while you're listening. So what are your thoughts about that? Because I have more to tell you about this book.
Well, I think it breaks down a lot of barriers. You know, there's cultural barriers, there's generational barriers, there's financial barriers. And, you know, as I've traveled to 30 countries myself, we've got authors in 64 nations, and we translate into the top 10 nations of the world, including Urdu, including Farsi, including Arabic, including Mandarin and Spanish and German and Russian. So, I mean, there's a lot that can go wrong with communication. And I was interviewing somebody this morning, and we were talking about our operations at Beyond Publishing and what we do that's so unique, because we have, you know, 23 people that all work from home, and they all have their different job descriptions. So I'm always looking for better ways to communicate. What did you find out? What can you share with us?
Well, it's amazing that you brought up that point, because this book originally started as a keynote speech where I was looking at a sea of eyeballs and wondering, how am I going to reach out to 500 people and really get them to connect, no matter where they were, what their ethnic background was, what they were doing for a living. And I realized our communications is the one thing we have all in trouble, and it's the one thing we could all get better at. And I wrote the book to really appeal to anybody, to speak to whether you're a senior executive as well as a youth in your home that you want to have a conversation with. So it's meant to have some fun and disrupt. I don't talk at you. I want to talk with you. And I think that's the most important part. And there's some simple logic that goes into it. Like when we actually look up and pay attention to others and give each other our focused listening, magic can happen. It has been proven to make a difference. And it can be causing you some really important side effects, like any antidote does. It can start you smiling, chuckling, and maybe even feeling good inside. So I think that's kind of a magic potion for anybody to use, more importantly these days than not. So join me in learning and figuring things out, because what you got to understand, every time we have a conversation, it's not one and done. It's a live performance, whether you talk to that person every day or once in a while. So let's figure out how we can set aside our assumptions and get better, as we say in Europe.
The Learned It in Queens Communications Playbook, Winning Against Digital Distractions, available everywhere now. Books are sold. Go to Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, Walmart.com, Target.com, and coming soon to a bookstore library near you. Now, what are you doing during the holidays? As holidays are coming up, what advice, because sometimes it's difficult. You got multiple generations in, grandpa turns down the hearing aid, turns up the hearing aid. You got political conversations where people can disagree and fight over that. And then how can we communicate and have a better family experience around the Thanksgiving and holiday table?
Find simple things you can talk about that are fairly safe. Talking about a favorite food that you share, what it means to you, where it came about. Find simple and neutral things that you can work together. And then I always had an expression way before there was a book, is keep everybody moving. There's a certain amount of time you want to be hovered around a table. There's a time to give other people some tasks to do, whether it's helping with the dishes, what's going outside and taking a walk. Break up the tension. I can't tell you how many people get stressed about the holidays. And you can buy my book in bulk and have a little reading at the table. That wouldn't hurt as well. So have some fun, be patient, and also listen to yourself. A lot of times we're already writing the script about what we think the conversation is before we've crossed down the bridge to go to where we're going, driven down the road. Maybe let go of the script and give yourself an opportunity to say something positive or just life affirming about the other person you're sitting with. It doesn't have to be a big thing. It just, I like your shirt. That's really interesting. Tell me where you got it. What does that logo mean? And just enjoy. But walk past our assumptions is a tricky thing, but we're all capable of doing it. So thanks, Michael. Those are great questions, and I do appreciate them.
Well, go grab the book now. Learned It in Queens. It's a communication guidebook. It'll just help you be a better communicator and help. We're talking about relationships. We're talking about business. We're talking about life. And I can see now that I have grandchildren, I've got to learn to be a better communicator, a better listener. A lot of times my days start in Singapore or in Europe at 3 a.m., 4 a.m. or whatever. And so I just focus on and end up in Hawaii or Guam at 8 p.m. in the evening or on the West Coast. So thanks, Julianne, for being here. You're so helpful. What is next for you? And then, talking about marketing during the holidays, these make great stocking stuffers,
yes.
Great gift ideas. And I think if I run a business of, 30 people like I do, it makes sense for everybody to be a better communicator. And so you've got lots of practical, tactical takeaways on how to take it to the next level. So it's great. Glad you could join us today. And we got Patty Grace is here with inspiration and encouragement. Now, I love Patty Grace, your story, because you were writing articles for the local newspaper. Then you had your first book come out. Tell us about this second book. And at what point did you say these newspaper articles could actually be a book?
Well, I'm so excited about sharing because at first I didn't think about it being a book. Mm-hmm. And then, can you see that all right?
Okay. Yeah, we love it.
Okay, thank you. So then as I got feedback from my articles about people enjoying it and using it in their day-to-day life, I thought, hey, a paper is thrown away or whatever. So what if I get these articles and put them together? And you helped me realize that I should do a weekly devotional instead of a regular devotional, because mine lends itself to meditating on it on a particular subject more than one time. And so you can use a whole week. So it's a weekly devotional. So I thought that was a super idea with what I had gotten feedback from the people who were reading my articles in the newspaper. And it was so exciting to see the feedback because I knew I was making a difference. But the exciting thing too was, and the lady that let me write whatever I wanted to do about the good news, I was very, very excited about that, because she let me spread the good news and she was excited about it too. And that way I could write what I wanted, and I dedicated the book to her. And I think that's so important, because the people that help you get where you're at really need to have some accolades, and they'll help you as center of influence. And I like doing that because you know who will talk about your book and so forth. I had a little bit of an edge there because at my first book, I had a lot of people that bought them as gifts and wanted to give them to different people. Well, it's almost Christmas when you start thinking about it. And I'm doing a lot of talks now for different groups and telling them to, if this means something to you, then share it with other people. What better thing could you give as a Christmas gift than everybody today needs some inspiration and encouragement with all we've been through. I mean, it just seems like if you can give them good instead of trauma, how wonderful that is to have a little bit of that today. And anybody can relate to it. I have different subjects in there. Like I start out very simple with choices and words and worry and forgiveness. And all these things mess up I don't like the word the channel, but it's the to be able to talk to the Lord in a more intimate presence. When you have unforgiveness, he tells us to go get rid of that before we come bringing our gifts to the altar, because it messes up our communications. It's the same thing with people. You're having a personal relationship with the Lord, then there are different things in here that tell you how you can get closer. My first book had more about getting to the presence of the Lord, but this is just a continuation from that standpoint. I took the subjects and just put a little bit more in depth, but I got excited about how to do this because I asked God well, first, let me back up and start with my other book and then everything else, because I think people would be interested to know.
Sure.
I'm 83 years old. And on the last day of July 2019, I had a stroke, 2 aneurysms and 1 broken blade on the brain. And I don't know anything for about almost 4 weeks. That's gone in my brain. And then after that, God, my pastor said, God gave you a miracle. Well, people want to hear about a miracle. So that got me in the door sometimes to share the good news, how God did that with me. And I was able to finish writing the book I had started. Mm-hmm. And then I started writing for the newspaper. And then that developed into a book. And then I met you and we got that going. So I'm excited about what all God's doing in my life, because he's never through with you until you're dead. And may I just share that little nugget?
That's true. I love that.
God can use you and can work with you, and you have a purpose. You haven't fulfilled your purpose if you're still living. So no matter how old you are, I like to read about Moses and different ones like that, because that were older. He was 80 before he started his ministry.
Lived to be 120, and his eye wasn't dim and his natural force wasn't abated. And I love that, because Joshua was 80 and he said, give me this mountain. God, you promised me this mountain. I may be old. And I love this because the fastest growing segment of our population is people over 100, right? It's how do you say it? Centurions. And you're inspiring a lot of people. What's the best way for people to get a hold of you, people to have you on their podcast? Patty Grace, you're a best-selling author, and you went #1 last month. It's called Inspiration and Encouragement. Is there a website or someplace where they
Yes, I tried to send it to you, and it said that it failed to post.
Okay, what is it?
It's Patty Grace, PATTIGRACE, now NOW.site, SITE.
Okay, great. We'll add that here, and really excited. What was the biggest takeaway for you on writing this book?
Well, it's fun to go places and know that people are reading what you are writing and you're making a difference. That really excites me, because lots of times authors don't get feedback. I didn't get as much feedback in the first one as I'm doing on this one because of having the articles in the newspaper. And it's also opens up doors for other things. I'm going to be writing for Kentucky Monthly and some other things. And God just is wonderful. You just plant a few seeds and then he can just further them and grow them. And you're not responsible for the harvest, but I think we are responsible for spreading the good news. And that's kind of where I'm at. I'm trying to be a seed spreader.
Well, I really love this. Your website, pattygrace.now.site, because you're collecting names and email addresses, and I'm popping mine in right now because I want to know everything Patty Grace is doing. In fact, you talked about writing for Kentucky other periodicals. You already signed up for the Lexington, Kentucky Book Show, the Louisville, Kentucky Book Show. And at what point did you say, to your husband when I met, Charlie Anderson connected us. He's a part of our mastermind. You're in our Wednesday masterminds because we provide unlimited author support on a weekly basis every Wednesday night at 6 Central. You were notified. That was probably your notification coming in, right? That Michael Butler signed up. So at what point did you realize these 40 articles? I think we had a conversation and I'm like 12 more and you got a weekly devotional, right?
Right. I felt like that, like for a year and a half, I had written those articles and I knew God was going to do something with them. I just didn't know exactly what. I had thought earlier, one of the scriptures that came to me so much was be still and know I'm God, which means I talk a lot and God needs me to listen. And so I had thought I would have like a daily devotional with that. But then when this started, what you said made so much sense to me because I write with a lot of punctuation because I want people to get that thought that I've tried to get to them. And I think that is really, 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 it's simple. And when I worked for IBM, they said, keep it simple, stupid kind of thing.
I
And
love it.
watch what you bring into your mind and everything. So I think that my book can be helpful to almost anybody that can start and want to grow themselves. And that's what I've been trying to do for years. And so I'm very, very thankful for that opportunity and for you, Michael. Thank you.
Well, you said something very powerful that you're 83. You had some health challenges that you were able to overcome by the grace of God. Now you're on your second book. So we have a lot of authors that are your age or almost your age that are starting to write their first book. What's your advice to them?
Well, I think that one of the things about getting older, there are a few things that are good about it. One of them is wisdom. I think if you really seek, God gives you wisdom. And the more you spend time in the presence of the Lord and the Holy Spirit, then you have his wisdom. And that's what I want to do. I want to share how he talks to me and he'll talk to other people because he's no respecters of persons. And I just think it's never too late, people. While you're living, go do what you feel led to do because God has a purpose for your life and you can fulfill it if you listen.
It's called Inspiration and Encouragement, and there's 52 chapters in there, and it will change your life. Grab it now. It's a great holiday gift, great stocking stuffer. Patty Grace, we're really glad you're here. Go get on her email list because she's going to let you know every time she's speaking or a guest on a podcast at pattygrace.now.site. Patty Grace, so glad to welcome you to the Michael D. Show. And we meet here every Tuesday at the same time where we talk about business, faith, family, and culture. And we have amazing guests from around the world. In fact, our Israeli correspondent from Tel Aviv is still in the bomb shelter. I texted her, if you want to stick around after the hours, we might be able to get her on a Zoom from the bunker, but it's a moment by moment situation there. And so we appreciate Pastor Mark for weighing in on what it was like being in Jerusalem when the bombs started to drop. Hey, I'm really glad about our next guest here today. We're talking about writing books and there's 70% of the world's books are fiction books and 40%, 30 to 40% are nonfiction. And this next book is a nonfiction book, but it's called Finding Your Next Job with ChatGPT. So I'm going to change out the banner. And Ben, you can tell me, what website do we want to send everybody to today for you, brother?
So I have bengoldai.com.
Okay. I'm going to properly introduce you. And that's bengold.ai.com.
No, just bengoldai and then .com. No dot.
Okay, great. And let me add that. Now, Ben, you and I met recently at an event in Dallas where business owners were there. Tell us a little bit about who is Ben Gold and about this new book you're launching with Beyond Publishing.
So I consider myself to be an AI career expert, as well as an AI specialist. I've spent 20 years in the technology space, and the last 5 years have been focusing on an AI product. So I've been in the space for a while and have been really fascinated and excited with what generative AI, meaning ChatGPT, has the capabilities, but also the fact that it's transforming careers. So after speaking with many job seekers and really getting a good sense for what's happening out in the field, I chose to write my book, which really explains to people who maybe don't have experience or familiarity with AI or a little bit afraid of it. And it's designed to give them the ability to understand how to start from zero, but then become proficient in understanding the whole process of writing cover letters, preparing for interviews, understanding compatibility. And my message is very simple, is that you should learn AI to get your next job, and you should learn AI to keep your next job.
It's really powerful. We talked about how fast technology is moving. And when I was interviewing a job applicant this morning, in fact, tell me if this is okay. Is it okay if we put up that other website as well, Ben?
I prefer Ben Gold AI. I'm
Okay.
focusing more on my consultancy than my, I did also have a startup, and that startup actually inspired me to write the book and to get out into the job seeker market. However, right now I'm really focusing more on doing consulting services and coaching individuals.
Sorry that I asked for forgiveness instead of permission. So sometimes on live TV, you have to do that when you're there.
Hey, no problem. Absolutely no problem.
So Ben, I'm very excited about launching this book with you. How much of it was written by AI? How much of it was directed by you? How much changing did you have to do as you were writing it with? I love to call her her, because I just assume if we've got to assign the sex to AI, she might as well be a woman, right?
Hey, you know that I totally see where you're coming from. What I would say about this particular book is that it has what are called prompts and responses. So that's actually what you enter in ChatGPT and what comes out. So of course that's 100. That part is copied and pasted to show people the capabilities and the insights. The other parts of it, this is where it gets, where I use AI for everything. So I will typically write out what I'm going to say. Then I'll run it through ChatGPT to see, hey, do you have ways to improve this? Usually I'll take some hybrid, because if you just go to AI and you say, write a book about this, it's going to generally be trash. But if you're able to put good prompts and you understand how to put your own voice in it, it can help you be a bit more targeted and more effective.
Very, very true. Very, very powerful. I find that working with her is good on research. It's good on organizing table of contents. It's good on helping you understand an industry and kind of drill down to different aspects of the industry, because you got to realize some of these industries are changing so fast that knowledge is doubling every month in some of these technologies, like nanotechnology or in artificial intelligence.
Yep.
And so where do you see the book taking you? Is it going to, why did you write the book? Is it a credibility book that's going to get you on more stages and more speaking gigs? Ben, what's the main reason you wrote find your next job with GPT?
I think you hit it on the nose. I look at it more as my voice. And I find that when I'm having lots of conversations with people and they want, what did you say? How did you do that? I just find it easier to say it's in my book, and it adds credibility. And I do see this as a tool for me to do public speaking and consulting work.
So I'm not seeing the link pull up when I type in Ben Gold AI. Oh, I was typing it in wrong. I'm sorry, because I was away from the screen. BenGold.ai.
No .ai, BenGoldAI.com so it's a .com domain, not a .a.
Shows you how the internet, with me having 25 windows open, it creates a short attention span when I'm running the technology of the show as well. So I apologize. Looks great looking website there. What do you want people to do? You want them to go ahead and go and opt in and learn more? What are they going to get from you, Ben?
So I'm actually redoing my website, and it will be in the next week or so. I'm going to be changing the content, but basically this is a place to sign up for my newsletter, to set up one-on-one consulting calls if you want, as well as to get access to my book when it gets published. I'm looking forward to us working there together. I do have an e-version on my website, and look forward to really it's about making contact with me, building relationships, and seeing where to go.
Well, it's at the top of the hour. You're watching the Michael D. Show. Thanks for being with us, Ben Gold. Thanks for all of our amazing authors today. If you want to stick around with us after the top of the hour, we're going to try to get our live correspondents. We got a journalist on the ground in her bunker in Tel Aviv. She's worked for the Knesset for about 12 years. I was chatting with her this morning when I was out on my run. Her and her son literally sleep in their shoes and their clothes every night. And I've been chatting with some of my other Israeli friends. I want to thank Pastor Mark for being here, for sharing his first count knowledge of being in Jerusalem the morning of October 7th, what that looked like. And we're going to be going deeper dive in the next 30 minutes. I've also got a very special announcement to make. And if you're an author, speaker, or a business owner, you can provide value to us. On November 28th, we're doing something very powerful that could expand your brand. So stick around after this 4-minute message.
Changing lives in New York and NASDAQ and beyond. Michael D. Butler, global book publisher. We're ending human trafficking at 1040impact.org.
I don't celebrate birthdays. I just don't celebrate birthdays. And I don't remember exactly why I quit celebrating birthdays. Maybe it was because on my 16th birthday, my parents happened to be both out of town on business trips. I was getting my driver's license. Growing up on the farm in Oklahoma, my brother checked me out of school in third hour and took me to the DMV. Now, I'd studied hard for that test. I wanted to pass it. I wanted my freedom. And I was so proud. I came out and I had my picture, weighing 136 pounds, sophomore. Right there, I got my ticket to freedom. So he takes me to the Pizza Hut, and we're eating pizza, and we're celebrating. And I get to drive my car back to the school, and I get to drive my car home that day. We had planned it that way. Maybe the reason I don't celebrate birthdays is when I turned 40, Dad calls me the day before my birthday and says, "Son, let's celebrate your birthday tomorrow." And I said, "Yeah, that'd be great. I've got a lot to celebrate. Let's do it." He said, "Tomorrow at your favorite restaurant, 12 noon. I said, "You bet. I'll see you there." Hang up the phone. The next morning, he shows up at the restaurant at 11:50. Dad was always early. He grew up on the dairy farm, and I was always right on time. So 12 o'clock came. I didn't show up. 12:05 comes. He's a little worried. He's texting and calling. It goes straight to voicemail. 12:15, he's like, "What's going on?" At 12:25, he calls the hospital. "Where's my son?" 12:45, he drives home to tell my mom, "Michael didn't show up." Where was I? Was I in the hospital? No. I was in jail. Because on the eve of my 40th birthday, I went to the bar alone to drink, got into a bar fight, and spent the night of my 40th birthday in jail. What was it about this self-sabotage that the pain was so great that a root of bitterness was growing in my heart at a subterranean level, affecting everything in my life and everyone that I touched in a negative way? I couldn't figure it out. This year, May 10th, I was all ready to celebrate my birthday. Very excited. Friends were coming over at 2 p.m. We had the whole thing planned out. I'll never forget when I was 7 years old, I told my dad, I said, "Dad, I'm going to live to be 120. And I think in my subconscious mind, I knew I needed that much time to redeem the root of bitterness and create what my therapist called a root of blessing. My therapist said there's two things you need to do to reverse the curse of bitterness and create blessing in your family and to bring it back. And you need to forgive yourself and you need to celebrate." Well, I was good at forgiving myself because I had screwed up a lot and I forgave a lot. And she said, "Celebrate yourself, come on." And that was my theme song. And I sat there in jail and said, "I'm going to run a marathon this year." And Michael, Matthew, Joshua, and Jeremiah, my 4 sons, they stepped out of the spectator area in the last 3 miles. They ran with me in 2008 and crossed that finish line with me. And as I told my sons, I said, "Sons, I am celebrating your birthday, but guess what? Next year, I'm celebrating my birthday on May the 10th, and all of you are invited. Celebrate with me." Thank you.
Changing lives in New York and NASDAQ and beyond. Michael D. Butler, global book publisher. We're ending human trafficking at 1040impact.org.
All right. Well, that was a great show today. We're glad you were here. I want to take just a few minutes, about 7 minutes, to explain what we've got, what we're offering, what we're doing. You know, if you're an author, speaker, or business owner, it's very important that your book remain top of mind. You know, I'm friends with Jack Canfield and Mark Victor Hansen, Chicken Soup for the Soul. They sold 500 million books, and many of those books before the internet. And I asked Mark recently, I said, Mark, how did you do it? Because I can remember hearing him on the radio in the early 90s as they were launching those books, as I was driving to seminary. And he said it wasn't enough for us to talk about our book. We had to get other people talking about our book. And one of the best ways to get other people talking about your book is to be on their podcast, is to look at all the holidays that are coming up. In fact, I'll put a link in the chat here in a minute of the national holidays, so you can see what holidays are coming up and how you could parlay that into your book topic. And creating a media event every week from your home computer, from your kitchen table, and creating ongoing buzz about your book. Because typically there's life cycle to a book launch. The average self-published author never sells more than 200 books. I want you to sell 5,000 books. And if you're willing to speak, we can definitely sell 5,000 books together. Here's how we're going to do it. You have Thanksgiving coming up. You have Black Friday coming up. You have Small Business Saturday right after that. Then you have Cyber Monday, and then you have Giving Tuesday. So many of you know we run a nonprofit called 1040 Impact, where we've rescued 375 girls from human trafficking. We talk about it a lot. Young Publishing is the primary corporate sponsor. We donate 30% of our net revenue to fund that, because we feed 50,000 meals a month between our full-time staff of 25 and our 375 girls. And so we're caring for them, providing medical care, education, career training, ages 5 to 15. They're now ages 6 to 17. So some of them are getting ready to be aged out in the next couple of years. And we have a career path for them and plans for that, as 3 have already aged out and are doing quite well. And so on November 28th, it's a Tuesday morning, we'll be doing the regular Michael D show from 10 to 11 a.m. Central Time. But then right after that, we're going to go into 4 hours. We're going to go from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. and give you an opportunity to either A, help me co-host, B, do a longer interview with me, and C, donate. You can donate a product, you can donate a book, you can donate a coaching program, you can donate anything you have in your house or into your intellectual property of value, or you could do a donation to 1040impact.org. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a landing page this week so you can go to it and quickly see what you get. If you do a donation for $100, this is what you get. And I'll interview you for so many minutes. We'll feature you, and you'll have access to the footage after the interview's over. You can talk about you can have more time to talk, because when we do these Michael D interviews weekly, we had a couple of authors that didn't show up today, including our correspondent from Tel Aviv, who's still in the bunker. I just texted her when I stepped away on break. And then we have an amazing human heroism story of a woman cycling across California from north to south to San Diego, from the north all the way down to San Diego. And she was supposed to be dead 2 years ago. So she's got an amazing story. She wasn't able to join us today. But there's behind the scenes things about your stories that we don't always get to hear in a 5, 10, or 15-minute interview, where we could do a deep dive. Particularly if you've got something that you want to sell, like a coaching program, or in Dave's case, your retreat. Last week, we had 15 countries watching it. Partly that was because we had the Powerful Female Immigrants on, and their friends and family were watching from other countries. But we also had a lot of our organic partners from Scotland, from Pakistan, from Europe, and other UK and other countries watching. We're going to do a media campaign around November the 28th. And the simple fact that we're going 4 hours, by the time we stream this on all of my platforms, by that second hour, third and fourth hour will be extremely busy. So that'll be what I consider prime time. These are people that are streaming us at work, streaming us as they're working from home, and they're just checking in to seeing what's next, because they want to kind of hear the highlights. And we're producing memes. You'll be featured on the meme. You'll get announcement meme, a launch meme with your picture on it. So you'll be featured on the Michael D Show for Giving Tuesday. And so it's good brand recognition for you, because we'll have all my logos and brands on there. And then we'll add Giving Tuesday is an internationally recognized symbol. And it's a big thing now as a result of Black Friday, Cyber Monday, Small Business Saturday. Is Giving Tuesday is a big thing for nonprofits. And everybody from, you probably have heard about it, everybody from United Way to Boys and Girls Clubs. If you have a nonprofit, you probably want to leverage it as well. You could come on and talk about your nonprofit. And so message me if you want more information. And in a few days, when I come out with the landing page, I'll send you the details on how you could be featured. Maybe you just need a longer interview, and we can do a 30-minute interview with you, and we can play your video. So if you've got a sizzle reel, if you got a video, you were on the news or speaking, you can provide that to me, and we can share that as we bring you on and introduce you. So if you've got a question, message me. Thanks for being here today on the Michael D Show, where we're here every week and we're taking care of, let me just add this to the bottom, God's kids, 375 girls in Pakistan in our 4 safe houses. Your donations and gifts are tripled this month, because Beyond Publishing this month only is tripling your gifts. A $10 gift becomes a $30 gift. A $100 gift becomes a $300 gift. And you can go to givebutter.com/1040. That's going into the ongoing monthly support every month. We have enough to take care of all the kids. Sometimes it comes in on the 28th, the 29th, or the 30th, so that by the 1st, when the funds need to be available for our team in Pakistan and our safe house in Oklahoma, the funds are there somehow. It always happens. We've been doing this for 5 years, started the nonprofit 3 years ago. I've ran nonprofits for years. I've been in that space for a long time. But when I flew my board members to Pakistan to see the work, to see what we were doing, to see our team on the ground who lives there, who's local, who are school teachers, who are qualified to be in these kids' lives, and our security there, we beefed up our security big time in August, because there were 26 churches burned, 400 homes. Christians were specifically targeted by radical terrorists who claimed the Quran had been burned, which was never proven. There's still a couple men that are in jail as a result of that blasphemy charge that they could never prove. But we went in with your help and fed a lot of families. And fortunately, none of our kids, none of our staff were hurt, but we were a major outreach in the community there. We are a member of the Chamber of Commerce in Sahiwal, Pakistan, where we translate books into Urdu. We translate children's books, faith books, business books into Urdu, because we feel the more knowledge they have on their choices, that they're not victims, that they can transform their life and take ownership of their life. It's been quite life-changing. And to see the transformation in these girls' lives, particularly the 54 that we rescued from Afghanistan after the pullout, when their parents were selling them for $100 each, and we were able to intercept them, purchase them, get them the medical care they needed to protect them from the Taliban and put them in our safe houses. It makes you feel good, and it also makes you be aware of what's going on in Israel and praying for Israel, because there are 200 to 250 hostages right now being held, and we pray for them on a daily basis, and it's not acceptable. And we condemn in the harshest words Hamas. We condemn in the harshest words the atrocities, the barbaric acts that were perpetrated against the Jewish and American and other nations that were represented there. And so we pray for them. And so I'm just going to see if we can, where did I leave my phone? Here it is. Let's see if we can get Oznat. Okay, she says, yes, she's available. Okay, here is the link. I'm putting it in the chat. She says she's available. So let's invite her to come give us a report. They went to the has anybody here other than David and Mark been to Israel? You have, Patty? Okay, I muted you. I thought maybe your husband had some background noise. What year did you go?
I went in 74, and it hadn't done its beautiful thing where it's feeding the world and the whole thing. I'd love to go back and see it. It was wonderful.
Yeah, it was amazing. I only spent a week there in 2019. Have you been there, Julianne?
No, I haven't yet. That's on my list, and I'd like to go soon when things hopefully settle down and moving to a better new normal.
Absolutely. I got to tell you, I felt entirely safe, completely safe, talking to the young people there, because Tel Aviv is basically a younger crowd, more of a liberal crowd, whereas Jerusalem is the tech hub is in Tel Aviv, and kind of the old conservative hardliners are in Jerusalem. But the amazing thing about Jerusalem is you've got the Muslim quarter of the old city, you've got the even the Catholic quarter, you've got the Jewish quarter, the Christian quarter. You'll have Muslim shopkeepers in the Christian quarter and the Jewish quarter. They get along. And at the Western Wall, I mean, those are primarily Jews, religious Jews, and tourists that are praying. You don't really have Muslims hanging out at the Western Wall, but you do have, the Dome of the Rock, which is in view of, the Western Wall. So I never felt unsafe. Mark, did you ever feel unsafe before October 7th? That week you were there? How long were you actually there, Mark? Let's see if I can unmute you there. You were there? How long were you actually there, Mark?
We were there 2 weeks.
See if I can unmute you there. You were there? How long were you actually there, Mark?
We were there for 2 weeks. Never felt.
You were there? How long were you actually there, Mark?
We were there for 2 weeks. Felt unsafe.
Can't hear you.
I'm going to try to get Osnat, our journalist from Tel Aviv, who's been in the bunker all morning, which is probably 11 p. It's probably 7 p.m. Are you back in the house?
Yes, it's around now 7 p.m. 70, something like that.
So you were.
A minute ago, sir. 1 second. A couple minutes ago, there was like 10 rockets surround Tel Aviv, close to my house, and it was really scary. I live third floor, and I have to go down. You have 1.5 minutes to go down. Okay.
We showed the video. We showed the video of everybody going in.
People living in close to Gaza, they have like 5 seconds to go.
So the people that are close to Gaza only have a few seconds to take shelter.
That's correct. Yes, sir.
What is the overall feeling? Tell me how you are feeling today, because I know there's some anxiety. You and your son are sleeping in your shoes.
Sorry, I hear you barely. Can you a little bit talk loud, please?
Yeah. What's the anxiety level like there?
Say it again. I'm sorry.
How stressed are Israelis right now?
Look, basically the Israeli get used to the kind of rockets and stuff like that, but we don't used to the. This is the first time it's happened to us. The massacre. We all every year we remember the Holocaust, and it's so far away from us by the years, okay? But we never forget the Holocaust. 6 million, maybe more, Jewish and Christian, and everybody was killed by the Nazis. So what happened in the 7th of October, it's something that is going to be remind like the Holocaust for all our life. If we go to the history, Michael, okay, I'm taking you now to Salah ad-Din, which is 700 years ago. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
There was a massacre, of course, for the Jewish and the Christian, always by the history, if you take a look.
Yeah.
Okay. But this is really dramatic and fanatic, and it's against the human what happened with this massacre. And they took a baby like a chicken, and they like with a knife. I mean, baby.
Right.
Baby.
The pregnant mother. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
The pregnant mother's baby was taken from her stomach. Things like that. Awful.
Yes, sir. That's correct. It's terrible. I mean, it's against the human. By the way, there was a lot of American and European in over there by the festival music. I know 2 people there. My friend killed. I was in a seminary a couple of days ago. It's broken heart because it's the young people, and they come to celebrate peace and love in the desert, and finally dead. It's
Osnat, are you able to click on the link that I gave you and join us in the studio?
Sure.
I'm going to hang up here and click on the studio link. Okay, let's bring her in. She's given a live report from the ground. She's worked for the Knesset. She worked for Ariel Sharon back when Gaza became probably the biggest mistake for a quote unquote 2-state solution that's been a constant thorn in Israel's side. The moment, Palestine was given to the Gazans Strip in 2005, immediately that same day, they began firing rockets at Israel. So let's see if she can jump into the studio. So her background is CMO marketing for the Knesset. In fact, when I was there, the day after I landed, I met with her, and she was going to give me a tour of the Knesset. But there was actually in 2019, Osnat, great. Thank you for joining us. We empathize with you. Our heart hurts for Israel. Have you been able to get any sleep there? What has it been like the last 18 days in Israel?
Good morning, America. God bless America, first of all. We love you so much. God bless you. It's a hell. I'm not going to lie. I've been having a lot of war in my life, Michael. And it's kind of hell because when I see a picture from Gaza of kids there with blood and the upper side with the Israeli, it's make me very sad. Okay. 1, 2, what happened in the massacre in the 7th of October, it's something that nobody can forget that because it's against the civilization, okay? It's not against only for the Jewish, which means, look, I've been living all my life with Arab, and I know them much than anybody, okay? My neighbor was Arab, and I have a lot of friends Arab, speaking Arab, good people. They don't want to be in war. 75 years ago, Israel exists from nothing, from the desert. There's a lot of Arab that would say, thank you so much, Israel, that you came from Europe and build and make beautiful place. And, against the Arab, they don't like us. I mean, so it's completely, mixed. But what I'm trying to say, Michael, it's not easy. We're not occupied anything. We know already that the Arabs they can open a fight because they're religious. Okay, this is the issue, guys. This is the issue. The issue is they're religious. Okay, they don't want the Christian here. They don't want the Jewish. They don't want the Cherkess. The Bedouin, they don't want. They want only the Muslims, and they believe if you go to the history, couple of thousand years ago, Muslim was occupied all Europe. They want to do that now again, guys. Which means, I will give you a very, very simple example. Take a look what's going on in Europe. I've been living in Paris. My mother, she born in Paris. Okay, my second language is it's French. Okay, you guys see me?
Yes, we
Okay.
see you. We hear you great.
Thank you very much. Thank you. What happened in Europe? It's something that I saw that I've been married with a French guy. Okay, and 20 years ago, I told him, Stefan, what's going on here? He said, oh, you don't know, you don't know. Those guys, he said to me, those guys gonna be open the Quran in the street another 20 years ago, which means 20 years ago back. Guys, folks, look, I know it sounds racist. No, I'm not. I'm telling you, it's a religious, and it's against the Christian, the beautiful Christian religious that I love so much and connected. Okay, it's against that somebody that is not a Muslim, extremely Muslim. It doesn't matter if you are a doctor. It doesn't matter if you are whatever you are, a student. Take a look what's going on in Belgium. If you go to Belgium, yeah, I've been there. All these places, you can see ISIS, and they say we are ISIS, which means Europe kaput. Europe kaput, which means if girl, beautiful girl, European girl, okay, civilization girl from Europe will go with score. I will give you very simple civilization example. If she gonna go outside in another 5 years with score like this, okay, and she can go whatever she wants. There's a lot of Arabs and Muslims and ISIS in Europe will tell her, you're not gonna go. It's against the Quran. Okay, it's a completely it's complicated situation with the Muslims, So we know the Muslims, we know how to behave with them, and they know that we know them. What happened in a few years? I don't want to blame anybody after the war. I will definitely blame the government, and what happened is something that we never happen. It's gonna be happening,
Okay, Osnat, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
So take me back to October 7th. Were you and your son sleeping in that day? You hear the alarms. What time did you wake up?
Well, I was talking with my friend Gloria. She lives in Pennsylvania, which means the morning is night in your place. And I was like, I have in a Telegram. I'm the first before the people can hear their siren. I saw 6 o'clock in the morning. I will wake up like 5 o'clock, and then I have a coffee and sit, and we're talking. And then I saw coming up in my phone the sign that is rockets, and they give you the location. I'm like, what the hell is that? It's a holiday today. What's going on? And then I will open the Israeli TV, and then I saw the sign that I sent you, Michael, the orange, every Israeli channel, they warning you that there's a rocket coming up.
I was that a moment ago, and I was showing your video going into the bunker this morning before our call. So
yeah, it's carried. Yes, sir. So I'm like, what the hell is that? I'm watching the TV, and I see the coming to every time coming to Jerusalem, to Tel Aviv, and then I heard a sirena, and I'm like, my son was sleeping. I'm like, what the hell is that? I said, wake up, and we going downstairs, and I was knocking the door. My neighbors, wake up, it's sirena, move. Let's go. And nobody understand. It was a shock. What did they do? They planned something really, they planned something, at night.
Question, Osnat.
Yeah.
When I was there in 2019, you were going to take me to the Knesset because you had
That's correct.
There. You work, Ariel Sharon. You've been working for the government a lot of years. A couple of things on that. You weren't able to take me to the Knesset because there was a security threat then There was a music festival happening all over the country. Madonna was in the country. So let me ask you this, because it seemed like a lot of the young people back then felt like Bibi Netanyahu was hard on terrorists and was good. How do you feel about Benjamin Netanyahu? Is he up for the challenge? And you've been through some recent strife in the country, much like we have in the U.S., with old hardliners versus the new young people rioting in the streets, and about the Supreme Court. Is Bibi up for the job? Does he have the support? Is it like George W. Bush after 9/11, where the country rallied around him? What's the take on the ground?
Okay, if we're talking after the war, Michael, it's gonna be a big mess. I'm let you know. They're gonna call him to go home. They will do everything. I'm supposed to meet my friend. She's a minister. She's supposed to come in about half an hour to my house. She's the minister of Israel. Okay, because we cannot meet in a coffee because it's so. Bibi is finished. Okay, for 20 years, Michael. Excuse me, for 20 years to get him quiet. Okay, he's a very good diplomat and blah 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 and. Communication. Okay, thank you. But he want to be quiet. He give 20 years a suitcase, James Bond suitcase with a gram, $1, like you say in America, to the Hamas to make him quiet and to have a cigar and wine and whatever. We knew it's going to be happening.
Let me ask you, how many insurgents, how many terrorists are in Israel right now? Are you afraid? Are you looking over your shoulder? Do you feel like the IDF got them out of your streets? How many terrorists were in Tel Aviv physically that morning of October 7th?
Look, it was really scary. You know why? Because those animals, I'm sorry to say animal because I don't want to balance the animal. They're not animal. They are worse than a beast. Okay, they drive in a truck, and who knows when they're gonna come to Tel Aviv? They can come here, massacre people. I was scared. I was close. It never happened to me that I was scared and closed the door. Never. It's my country.
So I played the video of you and your son going down to the shelter this morning a little bit.
Yes.
Yes.
Please share it. Please share it.
I will share that.
And please, yes, go ahead, please.
How can we're praying for you. How can we help? What do you need?
Well, I know I have two friends that two son killed baby. And then there were not enough for them that after they killed, they put him in a fire like potatoes, the baby. After the, I don't want to.
So some people don't realize that evil has a name, evil has a face, and it's hard to comprehend that a group of people could be so evil and full of hate. This is not. This is never justified. It's never justified. Israel is not the occupier. It's their land. It's been their land for centuries. And for
Michael, I know we love so much the evangelists in America. We're so connected to them. I know a lot of in Israel. They come in here, and I just want to say thank you for all of you guys. And please, we are brothers. We are family. I've in my blood. I say that, in my heart. I know that we are family in the church, and we love you so much for support. You don't even imagine how much we appreciate it. You don't even imagine.
you. We stand with you. You're able to go to the grocery store now, but you said your son is learning from school teacher on Zoom.
Yeah, I cannot go now. I cannot. I deliver from I deliver. I cannot go out.
You have delivery. Is the IDF patrolling the streets of Tel Aviv with machine guns?
Basically, yes. I can show you Tel Aviv now. It's dark,
Mhm.
but it's kind of it's scary. It's scary because you have the West Bank also. There's a lot of like
How
regular. I don't
afraid
want to
are
show
you
you.
that? How afraid are you? And then we'll open it up for questions. How afraid are you that Hezbollah, funded by Iran, they've been firing some missiles? Israel has evacuated the border of Lebanon. How concerned are you that this becomes Iran versus Israel, or is it already?
Well, I basically, Michael, I've been grown up in up north, which is close to the Lebanon, with the Nahariya, Shlomi, which is over there.
Mm-hmm.
I've been having 2-3 war if you go in the 80s, and I moved to Tel Aviv because I couldn't stand it anymore, and I started my working here in my life here. So I moved it like 40 years ago when I was really young. I couldn't take it, the bombs and the war. So I do scared, but I know that Israeli Air Force really strong. You know what the Nasrallah said in the 80s, for 2006. He said, if I knew what the army, the Air Force Israeli will do to my country, to the Lebanon, I wouldn't go. You can take a look in the Google it.
Yeah, I agree.
Those guys, they're terrorists. They have a customer. They want to help to the Palestinian. Bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
They are evil. They are proxies of the Iran, the Yemen, Houthim, Shmutim. I don't know what it. They are not so much. We can delete them like this, but we need to finish with the Hamas. We need to bury them, not only for the Israel. No. It's for you, for America. Are we going to do that? We're going to do that.
This is what Americans don't get. If you're Satan, we are the great Satan, right? That's what radical Islam has been saying for years. Israel is Satan. America is the great Satan. What advice? What would you say to Americans right now? What should we be thinking? What should be?
I think that America still support. Between the Palestinians, we're gonna have. You know what? We don't want to have in Gaza. Take the Palestinian. Take them. It's so funny. Cliche. I will say nobody want to take them. Even Egypt.
Right.
Even Egypt.
Yeah. So
the country, the
people. So the Palestinian people, quick history lesson, many of you know, Palestinian people were granted the Gaza Strip. What year was that? 2005 under Ariel Sharon?
Yes, sir. Yes.
And
yes.
Immediately the day they were annexed to Gaza Strip, they began firing rockets into Israel.
That's correct. That's correct, Michael. I'm telling you, Michael.
And then they appointed Hamas to be their government. They said, we want Hamas to be our government, who was a proxy of Iran. And so we want peace for Palestine. There's lots of Palestinians in America that love America. They have dual citizenship right now.
I want a peace with them too, Michael. I have no part. But what the BDS doing for 20 years, BDS, it's a Hamas.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Let's face it.
Couple of
they support Hamas.
Close. Couple of questions. Who's got a question for Osnat? Anybody? I've got questions. Go ahead, David.
Hi, David. Nice to meet you. Thank you for having me.
Hi, thank you. I'm a little confused about your president. Are you saying for 20 years he has not been hard on terrorism, and why is he out?
I said that before. I will say it again. Benjamin Netanyahu, he's a very good diplomat and communication, blah, 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 blah. And he want to have a quiet. He will say before 10 years, we're going to eliminate the Hamas, blah, 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 blah. Bullshit.
So he's all talk.
Bullshit. If you want to shoot, shoot. Don't talk. Okay?
So is he a conservative? What is his party?
He's a Likud. No, he's liberal, like me.
Well, that explains it.
Does he have the will to win? Does the IDF have the will to win in Gaza?
Of course. Are you kidding me, Michael? We just need to evacuate all the Palestinians, not to kill them. That's what we're doing. We send them a letter from the sky. Move. We tell them to move.
So who needs to be the president there?
The people, they stay there. They are proving that you are Hamas. We'll let you give you a chance to move. We open for you a place to eat, to sleep, everything. Move. What the Hamas do it 20 years with all the building that we explode. Inside of the building, Michael, okay, there's a tower. And what we're doing, they explode the building, we close the tower. You understand?
Well, we know we know they hide behind schools and hospitals and children.
That's what we try to say for 20 years, guys.
Yeah.
Nobody hear it.
No, we get it. We get it. It's being reported on some media like Newsmax and like Fox News, and even surprisingly on CNN.
Fox News is one of the best channel that I love.
Well, I got to tell you, I've been surprised with CNN, because CNN, who typically is so anti-Israel and anti-conservative,
it's always.
It has been very. This attack was so gruesome.
They're pro-Palestinian. Let's say that pro-Palestinian.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's a kind of fashion to be pro-Palestinian.
So who's in a good position now to take over the next presidency that has the support of the people and is hard on terror?
Okay, you're talking about the Israeli government?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. The name is that are working with him right now. The name is Yoav Gallant, is the defense of Israel. Okay. And in the place that I put you, Michael, you know, the channel, you can see the picture with me and him. I was a campaigner of him. I helped him to be in the high.
If anybody,
and I think,
added to the WhatsApp journalist feed, you're going to see probably gruesome images, but you're also going to have up to the minute news on what's going on. Osnat added me to that channel. I am very much in the free share of information, and I follow numerous Israeli journalists, including Osnat. So just message me if you want to be added.
Yes. So I'm just want to tell you all the BDS in America need to be shamed. All the university, NYU, all the Berkeley University.
I think the senators are
disgusting.
I think the Senate is going to pass a resolution and vote on it pretty quickly within the week, with or without a speaker. It won't matter, because this calling for killing of Jews is not freedom of speech. This is hate speech. We talk about the president of the synagogue in Detroit that was murdered. This was a hate crime. The media and the law enforcement is unwilling to call it a hate crime. They will in time, but they're dragging their feet. So Osnat, how do we get the hostages out? And have we wasted too much time? Can we still get some of these hostages out?
I guess already the White House over there, the open relationship, the open channel with the Qatar, there's a baby over there. You guys understand? There's a baby, beautiful baby.
Well, there's
blonde, blue eyes.
Yes, we know.
Baby.
We know of the 5-month-old. We know of the 9-month-old. We also see activists that are taking down posters of the hostages in New York and other cities as if they are some sort of freedom fighters. They are enabling murder. We're hearing that North Korea had some of their weapons in Gaza. Are you hearing that as well?
I'm sorry, I didn't get the question. I'm sorry, Michael, say it again.
Are you hearing that North Korea has some of their weapons in Gaza?
Yeah, I guess yes. There's Iran, there's Hamas, and China, maybe.
Well,
Who
we're going
knows?
to be following this a lot more.
It's a very serious war. It's going to be developed very, very bad.
So I want to thank you for joining us.
Everybody push the button,
How strong is
That's
the
the best.
Iron Dome if Iran starts firing ballistic missiles and they have 130,000 ballistic missiles? Will the Iron Dome be able to defend you?
Well, I guess America will be there.
Well, we pray that we are. We're hearing we're hearing our
We're
president.
very small. We're a very small place,
Here's what I hear. I hear the president saying what he's supposed to say, but I don't know what he's telling Benjamin Netanyahu. We hear your prime minister saying what needs to be said is we need to hunt down Hamas and we need to wipe them out. Will the will of the public support when you start having these pictures, like the media jumped on this fake hospital story that Israel bombed the hospital in Gaza, which was proven quickly.
Liars.
And so many outlets haven't apologized. We have congresswomen that need to be locked up by the FBI for inciting.
Immediately. There's a Muslim Palestinian with the index in the Congress. I mean, when I see this woman, I'm like, what the hell is that? What's going on in America?
Yeah.
What's going on in America? And that's why all the pro-Palestinian going out, they can start with violence. The Hamas and the Muslims, they don't know nothing. I will tell you something. They don't create nothing. They don't create nothing. Only violence and death. They're not gonna remember another 20 years, 2,000 years. Only death they will remind them. They don't create
you were able to shut off the water. You were able to shut off the electricity because they have no infrastructure. They built no.
We give her the electric. We give everything. Even Egypt didn't give them.
You gave them oceanfront property on the Mediterranean.
Water, electric. We did it for long. Okay, 5 years ago, we built everything.
Yeah.
If you guys take a look and Google it, beautiful Tel Aviv, beautiful Jerusalem. My mother told me before she died, she said when she came to Israel from France, she met the Arabs and she told me, shukran, which means thank you so much, Allah, God, to the Jewish, they came to Israel and make it beautiful. It was a desert. It was disgusting here before. You understand? So there's a lot of Arab in Israel will be very sad if Patchwork will not going to be here. You know what I'm saying?
What year did your mother arrive from France?
She born in France, but she born in Morocco, but she's from Spain, and she, it's the Jewish all the time run away.
Israel.
The Israel. Yeah.
How old was she when she came to Israel?
She was very young and beautiful. She was like 20, just about.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, we pray for the peace of Jerusalem. We pray that we have the will to win.
We're taking care of very much about the church because there's a lot of Palestinians. They want to destroy in purpose the church, especially in the Christmas. And the FDF, they're taking care of that. And you guys need to know that.
Well, we're being safe. We're being cautious everywhere. This is the month anniversary of the bombing in Beirut when 240 Marines were bombed and killed by Muammar Gaddafi, which sealed his fate with Ronald Reagan. And it's also on November 4th is the 44th anniversary of the taking of the American hostages by the Shah of Iran. So there's a lot of dates on the calendar. They chose to attack you on Yom Kippur.
This is what disaster. Yom Kippur. It was,
and yet our government and our president gives $6 billion and $80 billion. Is your friend?
My son. No, my son, Rotem. Yes, I'm sorry.
Can we say hi to him?
Yes, Rotem, the journalist from America. I want to say hi to you. 1 second. He's playing, in FIFA in the computer. Anyway, there was a lot of American die and massacre in this 7th. רותם, תגיד שלום, say שלום.
Shalom.
שלום, שלום. לא.
Thank you, Asnat, for being here with us.
Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate it. You guys taking care of yourself, Michael. Thank you so much.
Pastor Mark, let me ask Pastor Mark a question. Pastor Mark,
Yes.
could you speak a blessing as a Christian? Mark just came from Israel. He was in Jerusalem the morning.
Yes.
His family was in Jerusalem the morning of October 7th. Can you speak a blessing over Asnat and all of the Jewish people, please?
Yeah. Father, we praise you for Israel. We praise you for the peace in Israel. We just going to speak it ahead of time and believe that your hand is upon them, and believe that your great grace would just cover them. And I pray for protection over them for all their enemies. And I pray that you bring peace, no matter what it takes, that you'll bring peace. You are their protector. You're our protector. And I believe that they are the apple of your eye. God, I praise you for it.
Thank you so much, Mark. I appreciate it. God bless you.
And I'm going to pray too for the safe release of these hostages in the name of Jesus. I pray for all of these hostages be released.
Amen. In the name of Jesus, America will be a blessing from the Holy Land. Amen. 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 We love you so much, guys.
I pray for justice to be served, and that righteousness and truth and justice prevail against Hamas and against the murderers. And
For the evil, we don't want an evil. We just want to have a spiritual of God and lovely and love, and that's it. That's what we want, And all this world, the Muslims want to have the first Allah. They want him. He's the Allah, not Jesus Christ. The Bible.
We get it. Thank you, Asnat. I appreciate you. Thanks for being on the MichaelD.v show, where this time every week,
thank you so much.
10 a.m. Central, we join you and you join us from around the globe as we talk about what's going on in faith, family, culture, and business in the world. And we're going to close you out with this. Let's take it from the top. Let's take that from the top. Thanks for joining us, people.
Changing lives in New York and NASDAQ and beyond. Michael D. Butler, global book publisher. We're ending human trafficking at 1040impact.org.
I don't celebrate birthdays. I just don't celebrate birthdays. And I don't remember exactly why celebrating birthdays. Maybe it was because on my 16th birthday, my parents happened to be both out of town on business trips. I was getting my driver's license. Growing up on the farm in Oklahoma, my brother checked me out of school in third hour and took me to the DMV. Now, I'd studied hard for that test. I wanted to pass it. I wanted my freedom. And I was so proud. I came out and I had my picture, weighing 136 pounds, sophomore. Right there, I got my ticket to freedom. So he takes me to the Pizza Hut, and we're eating pizza, and we're celebrating. And I get to drive my car back to the school, and I get to drive my car home that day. We had planned it that way. Maybe the reason I don't celebrate birthdays is when I turned 40, Dad calls me the day before my birthday and says, "Son, let's celebrate your birthday tomorrow." And I said, "Yeah, that'd be great. I've got a lot to celebrate. Let's do it." He said, "Tomorrow at your favorite restaurant, 12 noon. I said, "You bet. I'll see you there." Hang up the phone. The next morning, he shows up at the restaurant at 11:50. Dad was always early. He grew up on the dairy farm, and I was always right on time. So 12 o'clock came. I didn't show up. 12:05 comes. He's a little worried. He's texting and calling. It goes straight to voicemail. 12:15, he's like, "What's going on?" At 12:25, he calls the hospital. "Where's my son?" 12:45, he drives home to tell my mom, "Michael didn't show up." Where was I? Was I in the hospital? No. I was in jail. Because on the eve of my 40th birthday, I went to the bar alone to drink, got into a bar fight, and spent the night of my 40th birthday in jail. What was it about this self-sabotage that the pain was so great that a root of bitterness was growing in my heart at a subterranean level, affecting everything in my life and everyone that I touched in a negative way? I couldn't figure it out. This year, May 10th, I was all ready to celebrate my birthday. Very excited. Friends were coming over at 2 p.m. We had the whole thing planned out. I'll never forget when I was 7 years old, I told my dad, I said, Dad, I'm going to live to be 120. And I think in my subconscious mind, I knew I needed that much time to redeem the root of bitterness and create what my therapist called a root of blessing. My therapist said there's two things you need to do to reverse the curse of bitterness and create blessing in your family and to bring it back. And you need to forgive yourself and you need to celebrate. Well, I was good at forgiving myself because I had screwed up a lot and I forgave a lot. And she said, celebrate yourself, come on. And that was my theme song. And I sat there in jail and said, I'm going to run a marathon this year. And Michael, Matthew, Joshua, and Jeremiah, my 4 sons, they stepped out of the spectator area in the last 3 miles. They ran with me in 2008 and crossed that finish line with me. And as I told my sons, I said, sons, I am celebrating your birthday, but guess what? Next year, I'm celebrating my birthday on May the 10th, and all of you are invited. Celebrate with me.
Changing lives in New York and NASDAQ and beyond. Michael D. Butler, Global Book Publisher. We're ending human trafficking at 1040impact.org.
Thank you very much. Donations are tripled this month alone. We've already rescued 375 girls from human trafficking at 1040impact.org. You can give directly at givebutter.com/1040. Thank you. Scan the QR code, or you can text. The word 1040 to that number you saw on your screen right there. I think it's 55355. Let's double check. Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate you. That was a great show. November 28th, we're going to be streaming live for 4 hours, and it's called Giving Tuesday. We're going to feature a lot of amazing stories and guests from around the world. It was great to have our team on the ground reporting live in Israel from Tel Aviv. Continue to pray for Israel. Thank you. And so excited about all of our authors that are launching books at Beyond Publishing. Their voice to the world, letting their story be heard and creating book, their message, and their brand. Thanks so much. It's been Michael D. Butler on the Michael D. Show. We've gone a full 2 hours, and we normally go 1 hour, but next, November 28th, coming up about a month from now, we're going to do a full Giving Tuesday. It's right after Thanksgiving, Black Friday, Small Business Saturday, Cyber Monday, and then you have Giving Tuesday. So we're going to tell you more about 1040 Impact and prepare some amazing stories about what we've been able to do with your help these last 5 years. Thanks. Have a great day and God bless. Bye-bye.